Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I will be covering SSG 116, or the current SSG 116 World Record seed. Before starting, even the loading the seed itself, I want to remember everyone to load up Minecraft 116.1. This is due to the basalt delta generation in the nether being different on 0.2 and 0.3. So if you load the seed up in 1.16.2, it's not going to be the same, and you won't really know what to do when you load it up. So just recreate the world. This is the seed. The seed will be put in the description if you don't have it. But yeah, you just create the world. Wait 1 second, you thought you could create the world without even doing the number 1 SSG thing that you should do before even starting to run SSG or routing the SSG run? Of course, what I'm talking about is actually hotkeying your hotbar. SSG is honestly mostly just knowing how to hotkey correctly, and then knowing how to do that in synergy with your movement and your being like fluent in your movement and whatnot. When it comes to this map, honestly, what I use the most, or the only thing you really need to hotkey when running this seed, is where your iron and where your flint is and where your obsidian is. That's honestly everything you need to hotkey, in my opinion. You can also hotkey where your netherrack ends up on. I don't do that because, well, that's just a habit of mine. But what I do is I hotkey 6, which is the iron or the flint. It doesn't really matter. And then the 8 is V. So when I go into my inventory, I quickly press E, go up, press C and V, and then now I have the flint and steel. That's going to be really useful for later in the run. And then also 9, where my obsidian is, due to how shift clicking an item from a chest into your inventory works. It's always going to end up in your 9, so that's where my hotkey for my number 9 is. When you do like routing and get familiar with the hotkeys, I want you to run the seed not as a run, but as a, oh, okay, so this is where this item goes, and oh, this is where this item goes, and then you know where the hotkeys are, and then you can assign them to actual letters on your keyboard to make it easier to reach while you're running. So what I always like to do is like loot the blacksmith chest, and then I know where the iron is going to end up on. It's going to end up on 7, and then 8, sorry, because the obsidian, you take the obsidian first, so that's 9, and then you take the iron, and that's going to be 8, so it goes upwards instead of downwards when you take something. This is the number 1 thing I want you guys to remember. It's really important. So let's get to loading the actual world now. So the spawning area for this seed is in a square around this area right here. The most normal spawning places are around here, and the least likely I think is right over here. If you ever spawn in this area, just reset. But it honestly depends on your PB, because you can still get to this place even though you're spawned here. But if your PB is sub 3, I honestly just recommend you reset this area. It doesn't take that long, and it's not really worth it, because if you, for example, do a 4-bed route, spawning there really just costs all of the time that you might have gotten by ignoring this house. So you start into the seed. You normally, as I mentioned, you normally spawn around here the most of the time. If you spawn back here and you're doing the 4-bed route, I recommend you run around the house. If you're doing 5-bed route, you need to take this house as well. I recommend just running inside the house and then taking the bed right here, because the villager usually stands right here. So a bit in the way, but just go around the corner and take it. If you're not running the 5-bed route, don't take this house at all. Just ignore it. So as I mentioned earlier, just run around the house right here, and then take the blacksmith, which is the next objective. You jump up, you double click the obsidian to get it all in your hotbar, or like in your mouse, and then you shift and click it to get it into your inventory. Next is getting to the hotel house, which has 4 beds. You quickly just take all of it. This is one of the optimized, or this is where you can optimize a lot of your run. So you want to get this down without bonking into doors, or, for example, not picking up a bed, which sadly cost me the run record, which is quite sad. And then also getting down without bonking into this wood piece. So the next part is, oh, whoopsie daisies. The next part is the swimming section. Now what you want to see are these guys, the dolphins, because the dolphins are a part of the seed, why we call this a dolphin seed. You get really fast time to get to the room portal. So always have F3B on when you look for dolphins, because they might be hiding in certain places. You might see dolphins right here as well, like this one. If that happens, just go around and jump, and then you can take the dolphin and then swim. So yeah, that works as well. But the faster you have the dolphin, the better. So if you ever see a dolphin that's like right here and doesn't want to move, never go for it, or like over here or something. Because the longer you spend not going forward, the worse the time save really is for the dolphin. So it's not worth it most of the time. So just ignore it. So you were right after Rune Portal. What you want to do is place the obsidian right here. I will tell why later. And then you take these 4 items. Normally, you would never get the fire charge because you need the flint and steel anyways. But I will show you guys why later in the run. So you build the portal. I like to do the left side and the top part first, and then you jump. This is the reason why we have the obsidian right there, because we can't jump on it if there's slabs. We used to mine this slab and then place it on top and then go it again, but it took a bit of time, so this is an optimization. You light the portal with the fire charge. If you don't want to take the fire charge, or you don't know how to do it as fast as you should be able to, I recommend just making the flint and steel normally, and then you get the flint and steel, right? So that's what I recommend you do if you don't want to take the fire charge. Because you need to make the flint and steel anyways, but it's a small optimization that Star found. So you've arrived at the Nether. There's a lot of different routes when it comes to the Nether, this Basalt Delta, because most of it is parkour, so it can be optimized a lot. But I recommend going this way and then this way. You can also go around this way, jump on this, and then jump here. That works as well. But the route splits on this point. I will now show you the right route, where you go this, over here. You jump around. You jump on this part, the second jump right here. Jump, and then you're at the flat plains, so to speak. You want to always keep this angle, or like this position, because you can bonk into certain stuff if you don't time your jumps well, and this timing of the jumps is quite well for not bonking. You can also, if you take the right route, go up here. K4 found this, so huge thanks to him. And then you can just go down. This might save a few seconds, or like not a second, but like 0.25 seconds in total or something. But remember that I'm in peaceful right now, and there's no lava cubes or magma cubes, so there's a lot of magma cubes around here normally. So you always have to factor in, if you see a lava cube or a magma cube when exiting the right path, there's a lot of them over there. Don't go there. Just go this way instead. It's not worth it to be killed by them or like bonked by them or like off your route. So it's not worth it. So I will now show the left route, which is a new route that we're doing now. This route, you begin the same, but you go around. You place an obsidian right here. And then you just jump and then do like that. I apologize if this isn't a good enough explanation. I will try to do it slower, or so you can like see what I'm doing. But more or less, you jump by jumping right here over to this path. You keep the momentum by going and then changing your direction slightly to not bonk in this this little block right here. And then you go around and then go around. You want to always remember when you go here, there might be a lot of magma cubes, so punch them if they're in the way, and or try to like deviate your path by going, for example, over here instead, or like over here, right? So you can always improvise if you know where to go. But when you go here, you need to jump by swinging to the right at the last second and then pressing D and V to stay on the, or have a rightward angle when you jump. So it's more or less a Neo to not die. So that's the right, no, that's the left route. And then you just do as I told you guys earlier by keeping this path. Obviously adjusting for magma cubes. If there's magma cubes right here, you just stay on this path instead. So you've gotten to the drop point. We have several strats. If you do the new portal strats that we have, which saves a bed, you don't need to save your durability on the pickaxe. So you can just mine straight down by mining this section right here and then falling down. That's faster. But there's also a new way of doing it where, as I mentioned earlier with the fire charge, what you really want to do then is, let's go in this. What you want to do then is just mine one block, press E, and then you do hotkeys to make the flint and steel. Obviously, that's supposed to be done a lot faster. So the objective is more or less to make the. You can also, if I just clean this up a bit, you can also, after getting out of here, place a block and spam click while you're jumping to jump really fast. If I just go out of creative to show you, you kind of need to spam while jumping, but as you can see, that's a lot faster, and you can also get a lot more head hitters done by doing that. And then you'll get to the next section. And then this is where you can optimize the run a lot more, or where we have optimized the run a lot more for the different routes. Originally, you would go here, place a block here, go up, and then you're at this place where you make the portal. But this is not optimized at all. This is really terrible optimizations. So I will show you how to do a lot faster and quicker way of getting on top of this little mound hill. When you get to this part, you do the head hitters as I mentioned. You get on top of this little plateau, and then you place one netherrack where I've indicated that there's normally a netherrack here, but I'll just show it with diamond blocks. You want to place one netherrack, two netherracks. So while you're running, place one and then two. I'll show it again. 1 and 2. And then you jump on here. I failed it. Let's do it again. Okay. And then you place one netherrack and then jump off. That's the second way of doing this route. And it's a lot more faster. As you can probably see, it is a lot more faster than the previous mentioned method of doing placing the block right here and jumping on top and bonking every time. So the third and most advanced method is Starclay's advanced mountain climb, or whatever he called it. The way of doing it is more or less the same as the second method, where you place a block and block and then jump on that little plateau there, but you add an extra step by doing this. So you add another block and then you place it right here. So as you can see, you can see a direct path, more or less, if you do it properly, and that avoids doing this, stopping, placing a block, jumping, and then starting. So if you want to practice that, go for it. You need to be good at flicking. You need to be good at like jumping, and then flicking to the right and placing another rack and then jumping on it and then getting it. So I recommend practicing this a bit in the runs or before you do runs, or in the runs obviously. But if you fail it, you will fall, and you will more or less lose any potential time save that you've gotten. Obviously depending on your PB. You're now at the section where you make the portal. What I advise anyone to do really is go right here and then stop when you bonk. Look up in an upwards angle. Oh, I am in creative. Let's just fix that real quick. Okay, there we go. You want to go in an upwards angle, go down, and then up again. And now you have the place to place the portal. And then you look here, mine this if you want to, and then stand here. The reason why I mined that section was for the portal to go one more block in the direction of the staircase. You don't have to do it, but it's a small optimization that anyone can really do if you have more durability in your pickaxe. So now you're in the stronghold. When you're in the stronghold, I always like to pause the game. Oh, whoops. Not like that, obviously. I like to pause the game. This is due to, if you don't pause the game, sometimes the chunks in the stronghold hasn't loaded. So if you start running, you'll like go through the floor, or like you'll stop, and that wastes time, obviously. So if you pause the game, the in-game timer won't continue, but it will still load. And then when you see everything, you just start running again. And that's more or less how to fix that problem. But yeah, you get out of the portal. I like to place one block up here and then hit head boost. Might be go out of creative mode, and then you head boost, go down, one more block just for the fun of it. Mine this stone brick to fall. I do this because you fall in a downward angle and you don't stop completely like this. So I feel like that's a bit faster. But if you don't have enough durability, or you don't have a pickaxe anymore due to maybe you used it up too much on the netherrack or some kind of other section, you just place a block right here and then fall down. And then now you're here, you want to place one or two or netherrack depending on how much you have or whatever, and then you just head boost more. That's for the last finished optimizations for this part. So now you're in the end. When you get to the end, just pillar up as fast as possible. I like to do 4 to be able to jump on this thing, so you can just jump. I would advise anyone to go this route and then turn and then this way. This is due to how the dragon behaves. Basically, the dragon will more or less go on the left side when you're on the right side. So you want to force the dragon to be over this point right here. More or less, you want the dragon to be right here. That's the point where the dragon will perch, or do a fast perch. You might not see that with an obsidian, but you want the dragon to be right here. That's more or less where you want it to be. We might be able to see a fast perch right now. Nope. Okay. This is because the dragon won't. In order to perch on these positions, the dragon has to climb the tower, and normally won't really perch at all. So what you want is, as I mentioned, go around the pillar and then come back, and then set up for the full bed or the 5 bed depending. But I always strongly recommend anyone to do their 1 cycle using this setup. We might be able to see a perch now, actually. You see how long that takes for it to circle around to be able to do the perch? It's not worth it in SSG at all. So don't do it. I certainly recommend setting up first and then going back. So there you go, that's the perch. But we want the dragon to perch on this side anyways, because that's the fastest way of getting it to perch. I would recommend always setting it up and then going backwards, depending on how fast you want the dragon to perch. It doesn't really matter how far away from the actual perch you go, because you more or less want an instant perch, where when you end up making the setup, the dragon will more or less be right here, heading towards here, and then perching. So that's the ideal situation. If you've seen my PB, the dragon went right here, and then he went slightly backwards, and then he spun around. That's more or less the ideal. And I was standing right here, and then turned around, and then it perched. That's what you want. But the distance where you are from the perch does not matter if you want that kind of perch. So I don't recommend you go further than this. And then you always adjust your position opposite of where the dragon is. This is to force the dragon to always be ready for the perch, because it only perches when it's the opposite direction of you. The only reason not to do this is if the dragon is in these corners or these angles of the perch. As I mentioned earlier, the reason why we go around is for the dragon to always go in this direction. So you always adjust opposite of the dragon, but don't go further than 30 degrees. So these degrees, kind of, if that makes sense. So always keep an opposite angle, but if the dragon goes further than that, don't follow it. So now it went further. Don't follow it. It's more or less a dead run. And now, yeah, so it's more or less a dead run. If it shoots a fireball at you, depending on your PB, it's also dead run. So if you have a sub 3, I honestly recommend you don't continue. You just blow the bed up. So when you get here, there's a new method that we're currently developing. It's not what we wanted, honestly. Let's just get this dragon away from the perch by blowing up some beds. There we go. What we want, the perfect scenario for a setup when it comes to SSG, is something we call Chad cycle. This is a new method developed by Blocka, Rad, me, Starclay. I'm sorry if I didn't mention anyone else, but it's more or less increasing the Y level of where the perch happens. So if you see the Y level right now, it's completely different from where the perch is. But the current best setup, in my opinion, is taking 3 blocks and then 2 obsidian right here, and then you want to be standing right here. And this way you can see the perch and kill the dragon. So the reason why we do this is because the time it takes to get the dragon in a position where you can blow up the bed, you can reduce that time, the swings, by increasing the Y level. It's pretty self-explanatory, and the concept is not really that hard. But during runs where we honestly hope for a fast perch, by going around here and then setting it up, and then you stand here, and then the fast perch is supposed to happen right now, or right now is more or less the timing for it. So what we need to experiment on is like faster setups to get right here, and then 1, 2, and then boop, 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 and then honestly the biggest problem for in my opinion in Chad cycle is not when you set it up, but when the dragon perches, because setting this up right here is not hard. But if you want to set up where you want to stand as well, that can be harder, because you don't really know which swing, left or right, the dragon does before it actually perches. So if you set it up you need to kind of do this, and then you also need to do this, just for like getting to the perch itself to be able to set up for the chat cycle. So either like theories that I have in my head at the moment is setting this up first, and then when the dragon, as the dragon perches, and you see it's a left swing, you just quickly lock up and then go this. But honestly, I don't know how viable this is in runs because I don't know how much time you have. That's honestly like due to increasing the Y level and the factoring in for low perches, if the dragon goes like this and then starts swinging downwards, you don't have that many swings before it's at the obsidian. So if you want to go around and like run for and then set up this, you don't really have that much time, right? You don't really have that much time. So we still need to experiment, but it's a funny idea that saves 2 or 3 seconds. So it can be worth it. So I hope this video was educational, and I hope you learned something from doing this or watching this. That was the current SSG world record seed, and I will talk to all of you later. Bye!